Daddy eats lost. Daddy eats lost. Daddy eats lost. Munch, munch, munch.
Hello and welcome to Daddy Eats Last, where we discuss the challenges of being a man in modern society. What the hell that even means? I'm Kane, and joining me this evening are both Ryan and Matthew. Gents, how are you both?
Thank you, sir. Well, mate.
Good. Now, Ryan, the last time we caught up, it was on the cusp of England in the Euro final. Their fate, their destiny. It was coming home. It was coming home like a lockdown to Victoria. How did England go, and did you enjoy drinking the English tears when they lost?
Well, it definitely came to Rome as opposed to coming home. And they were filthy with that. It was a great experience. I mean, we were tucked into a pub in Manchester, surrounded by plenty of white and red. And yeah, rode it with them all the way from the stellar start to the crushing penalty final. But it was a bit saddening. By the end of it, like, we'd merged with a couple of tables and we'd really gotten into it. And like, I'm pretty neutral on it. But then, once we were kind of in with making friends with these people, and I was like, I really just want them to win, just to give them something. But as we know, it was a crushing defeat. So a few sad people on the Monday to follow.
They essentially choked, to be honest. As somebody who's watched a lot of soccer, they scored in the second minute and then tried to defend for the next 88 minutes. And that's never really going to go that well international level. You actually have to try to attack. And England were the better team for the first half. Then they just tried to defend, and that cost them in the end. So it was, by the end, I was cheering for Italy. So, good result.
Yeah, I think it was going that, like, it was a game of two halves. They were dominated in the first half, and then they kind of just shut down, which was disappointing. But I mean, the World Cup's not that far away, so we'll see how that one plays out.
Yeah, hope they lose their final as well. How are you, Matthew?
I'm good, thank you, mate. Yeah, not a bad, pretty big weekend up here. We had some drinks Friday night with a few of the dads from school, which ended quite late. And then yesterday, the last night, we had some people over as well, which was late as well. And then today was a baby shower. So I'm just looking forward to going to bed.
Hence why you were having, just before Ryan came online, you were drinking a Diet Coke at 7:30 p.m.
Just a little fuel before I put the head down.
Just a little nightcap of straight caffeine. Well, you can do those things. You can catch up, and you can do bits and bobs. And tomorrow, of course, in England, I think it's still Freedom Day, I believe, right? Everything's going ahead, even though you're at 50,000 cases a day. It's ripping the Band-Aid off and going into the world pretending COVID's not there.
No, I think everyone's pretending COVID's there. I think the media are a pain in the ass with the numbers, because the main numbers are how severe it is. Because this thing's not going anywhere. We know that for the next, probably 5 to 10 years. But the vaccination rollout's been a massive success over here by all metrics. And I think the situation is, at some point, the government needs to stop, asking society to do things and get it down to personal responsibility. So
yeah, you're about 10
I'm charging a Freedom Day. Yeah,
you're freedom. You're about 10 to 15% too early though. Like, you're not, like, only 50% of the population's double jabbed, which is properly vaccinated. So you may be going maybe a little bit too early.
Yeah, maybe a little bit too early, but I think the crux of it, the feeling over here is that if you deem yourself as vulnerable and all those kind of things, then you self-isolate. And at some point, society's got to stop paying that tax, because they are up shit creek, for better or worse, in terms of, variety of other factors that are impacting things beyond the virus. So I think it's just balancing the risks, and but I'm looking forward to it. The reality is, though, not much will change for us, because there's still a lot of places that are going to be masks and so forth. And I think that's pretty fair and reasonable.
Well, you mentioned Shit Creek, and frankly, Victoria is up that. New South Wales gave us the map to get ourselves up Shit Creek, and we kind of just followed them up there. So we're in lockdown 5.0 down here in glorious Melbourne, which is just just a wonderful thing, really. It's funny because we have so few cases, they can actually map the cases on who caught what from who. And case number 4 was a 60-year-old fellow who hadn't been vaccinated. Apparently, he could have been vaccinated because he's 60, hadn't been. Went to the football to watch Carlton and Geelong and managed to. It's not his fault. He's asymptomatic, so he didn't know he had it. But he's the difference between if he went to the football, we've got 40 cases in lockdown. If he didn't go to the football, would be business as usual. So it's one of those sliding door moments. If it was 9 degrees and hailing last Saturday, he probably would have just gone, you know what? I'm not going to go watch the footy. I'll just watch it at home, and we wouldn't be locked down. So it's one of those sliding door sort of things where you just think, man, sometimes it's just luck.
It is very much luck based.
Yeah. Well, anyway, boys, tonight we're going to talk about planning things on the back of COVID because anyone who booked anything down here in Victoria or New South Wales over the school holidays pretty much would have had to cancel it due to the New South Wales lockdown and then our lockdown. We were lucky enough that we got to do a couple of bits and pieces towards the end of the school holidays. Of course, little fella's done 4 days at kinder and he's picked up a cold. So we're kind of back to square one. But yeah, planning things during COVID lockdown and just, I guess, planning things in general, responsibility and whether you should go about planning as normal. Matthew, you're a planner. You love to organise a good holiday.
Planning holidays are my jam. It brings me great joy to plan holidays. And even with COVID last year, I just started planning holidays that weren't really going to happen anyway, just for a bit of fun. But loser. No, I plan all the holidays in my family. I just love it. Love the research. Love the. I tend though. I've started to take on people's opinions and thoughts on or people who we travel with. Generally, it's Kim's family. Get their ideas on where they'd like to go, and I'll take them on board. But 9 times out of 10, they don't make the itinerary. So it's all me. But no, I wanted to talk about the planning with COVID because we are planning a Sydney road trip in September school holidays, which is, I think, just under 60 days away now. And that's going to be a bit of a driving holiday. But Kim's of the opinion that I should stop doing that and start doing other things because of the New South Wales lockdown. And, history has shown that generally after a lockdown, I don't know if it's still going to apply like this, but the state opening up the border would want zero cases for at least 14 days, zero transmissions. So that would probably, well and truly come into September. It'd be a pretty close call. So in terms of planning stuff, she's a bit sort of glass half empty, I guess, there's no point in doing that. Whereas I'm a bit more optimistic. I think that we probably can get this holiday up and running. And if we can't, it's no big deal in terms of like losing money or stuff like that, because at the moment, a lot of the hotels are selling their rooms at a point where you can cancel, 4 or 5 days beforehand, which I think, 4 or 5 days out from leaving, you would know if you were going anyway. So I don't really think there's any harm in planning during COVID at the moment. It gives you something to potentially look forward to rather than just, cancelling everything and having nothing.
Now, I guess there's 2 points to this, and you love obviously organising things. So I say go ahead and organise it. I think the thing I'd probably kind of maybe ease back on is telling the kids that you're going in case it gets cancelled, because there's nothing worse than going, hey, we're going to Disneyland, and then oh, fuck, Disneyland's shut.
Yeah, look, I still tell the kids just to.
Oh wow.
They've got to learn disappointment early on in life. They can't expect everything's going to go their way. So I think this is a good learning experience for them. So actually, I've got middle of August. I booked a trip down to Melbourne just to visit my grandma because she's getting to the age where she's starting to get a little bit forgetful about things. So I thought, why wait till December? I'll try and book in August. And again, now you guys are in lockdown. So I've told Eloise that I'm taking her. But again, I just might have to disappoint her and just say such.
No, you can come down here. You just can't go back to Queensland.
Yes, I'd have to kick around for 2 weeks. Yes.
We haven't organised anything, and in all honesty, probably 3 or 4 months ago, my wife's very much like, oh, let's book something. Even when she was like, oh, I've got something on, I don't like. It sounded really weird. I don't care. Like, she wants to book something to go with dinner with her friends. That's cool. I don't care. Just put it in the, like, we've got a shared calendar. Just put it, if there's nothing in there, put it in there. And I don't need to know anything more about it. I'll just see in the calendar going, oh, yeah, she's going out that night and I have to worry about it. So, and then she was trying to looking to organise a holiday. I said, you know what? If you're going to organise anywhere in the middle of the year to go, I reckon Sydney's a place to go because, you know, they got the gold standard. They don't lock down. It'll be fine. They're not going to have COVID there. And lo and behold, the one place which had the biggest COVID outbreak in 12 months happened to be Sydney. So I don't think I'm certainly not the right person to be organising things.
Yeah, no destination choosing for you, Kane.
No. And then, of course, Ryan had his Mont Blanc situation where he was trying to organise. He's been trying to organise that since his 30th. And, you know, that's been pushed back and pushed back.
Thank you, France. Yep.
Yeah.
So that's going to get pushed to 2022 now, on the basis that even though I've been double vaxxed, France would, one of the ways, some beef between the UK and France at the moment where I'd have to stick with a quarantine. But I mean, to be fair, I'm kind of probably a bit more like Matty. Like I do most of the planning of this kind of stuff here. I'm also of the opinion of just at this stage, I got the opinion until I know definitively. Like I've just stopped trying to guess what's going to happen. Basically, I'm just like, just play on and then adjust. That being said, I think I'm up to double digits of holidays or events or stuff that has been cancelled or destroyed by COVID because we had a very big 2020 with COVID that wiped out a shitload of things. That being said, we still did, like, you know, we went to 6 or 7 countries last year. So yeah, I'm kind of like plan and just cop the disappointment that is a bit of life, as Matty was saying. But it is tough because, you know, everybody's got different efforts and thresholds, and the uncertainty is extremely frustrating. And like, we're planning to get back to Australia for 5 weeks for a wedding in November. That just the percentage probability of that continues to go less and less and less. And that is really frustrating because that has a compounding effect on so many other decisions. So I don't know. I think maybe after 18 months, I've just learned to roll with the punches with this shit.
Yeah, I think the hard part with Australia and you coming back to Australia and Australia in general is things can change so quickly here. Like literally a week ago, we'd gone to, like, there's a Frozen musical that the little fella and my wife had gone to. We'd gone to the races. It felt like things were getting back a little bit back to normal. And then on Tuesday, we're back to, or basically Monday, there's a bit of there's a couple of cases with removalists, which I mentioned over lunch. My mother-in-law, we were all having lunch. I said, that doesn't sound ideal. And within the space of 4 or 5 days, we're locked down, and we're not going to get out this week. We'll be lucky if it lasts less than 2 weeks lockdown-wise. So things change so quickly here. Like, it's literally just like a click of the fingers, and you go from normal to lockdown because we're not at that sort of vaccination stage where, at least in the UK, you could probably plan basically to go travelling anywhere inside the UK and not have an issue.
Yeah, within the UK we can. So we're off on to Scotland next week and a few other bits and pieces. Next month and a few other bits and pieces. But yeah, Australia is like a real dicey one because we're going to multi-states to when we come back. So I mean, there's a low probability of even getting there, and then an even lower probability of actually not just getting locked in the dictatorship that is Western Australia. So
one case of corona, shut the border.
Exactly. And I think I don't know, we were talking about it on the weekend, and I'm just like, I don't even want to think about it till October. I'm just like, you know what, you'll go absolutely stir crazy trying to plan all these things and all these moving pieces. And I think it's that whole thing of, at the moment more than ever, when it comes to planning, what can you control, and then what do you have to take with a pinch of salt that can just, you know. But last year, I was a very angry person with the fact that all these plans got destroyed, and that did involve, you know, losing money left, right, and centre as well, which was very frustrating.
Yeah, so it sounds like we're all of the opinion that at the moment it's planned like you'll be able to do it, and then manage the disappointment when it occurs, especially for kids if you've already told them you're going to Sydney next school holidays.
I like what Matty said there, though. Like, that's an opportunity to actually start just being like, life's a bitch. I think it's
That's-
a good thing you're doing, Matty.
That's
And blame the
that's just-
government on the way through.
Yeah,
That's just like that's like top level disappointment. Though, not like a disappointment like they wanted fish and chips for dinner and you got the McDonald's. That's like the next level of disappointment. Like we're going this awesome Griswold sort of holiday and can't do it anymore.
I'm just going to use what Ryan said before, and I thought that's a great bumper sticker. Play on, adjust.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Hey, mate, what about your wedding? I know that wasn't happening anytime soon, but are you guys, I guess, the opinion now or the thought that, well, let's just give this a year or two to see how COVID goes before we even start tackling it? Or are you thinking maybe we might have to think about having a bit of a COVID kind of plan for the wedding?
Yeah, I think it's kind of like, if COVID hadn't happened, it'd probably be done. But, the reality is COVID has happened. If we don't get back to Australia this year, it might not be until 2024, the way that things are playing on.
Yeah.
And that's like tough because, we wouldn't have seen any close family or friends either here or back home for like 4 or 5 years. So this sort of like, if we can get back, it was always going to be a small little thing anyway, so just kind of get it done then. If we can't, might just have to go to Vegas, see what happens.
Why not?
It's all those practicalities. There's the same here. Like you see people, not me personally, but you see people planning their weddings and then, again, click of the fingers. This time last week, if you had a wedding this weekend, it was going ahead and you could have a dance floor and, 50 or 100 people. And that was cancelled on, I think, Thursday. I think they announced restrictions, and you could see the restrictions coming. Like you knew we were going to be in lockdown. But it was literally a week ago. If you had a wedding this weekend, it would have been all systems go. So, man, those sort of things, like that's hard. That's hard to deal with. Like that's there's the fish and chips McDonald's, McTy cancelling his driving holiday. Yeah, your wedding. Like that's hard.
It's next level.
Yeah, I was talking to my mate just on message because he was away at work and whatnot about, that we're going in November for a wedding. And it's in one state, but family members are coming from another state. And like a week ago, it was fine, and now it's like, this might have to get postponed. And I mean, you're talking. This is the thing; these snap decisions. I think, if you plan anything, you got to take it with a pinch of salt. Going, some asshole government could just take it away from you. Which is not a bad lesson for the kids to learn at a young age.
Yeah, screw the government.
They're going to learn it eventually when they start paying taxes.
Oh man, it's some of the tit for tat now between the states here, Ryan. You obviously don't see it. Some of the tit for tat between, especially the Eastern Seaboard, Queensland, Victoria, New South Wales, and then WA every now and again chime in. And it's just it's schoolyard stuff. It's so petty.
It's just disappointing. And the tough thing about all this planning, like we're in a luxury position talking about planning of adapting to holidays, but like to your point there, Kane, what about that venue owner that has got that wedding and those things planned and is just gone, oh great, what do I do now this month? Where's the money coming for food on the table? That cafe owner that's just like, oh for shit's sake. Or a couple of days ago, restaurant owners would have had stock kitchens ready for the weekend. What's happening with that food? It's just like all these things that's the real challenge of this planning situation. And the reality is it's just not easy for anyone.
Yeah, I don't eat
and it's not going away.
Yeah, I don't eat a lot of cafes for breakfast and lunch, but I make a point of when there's a lockdown to go and get something for breakfast or lunch, maybe once or twice a week. I was going to say once or twice a lockdown, but our lockdowns can go for 4 months. So, I try to make a point of actually going to a local cafe and buying something, just because it is. I can't imagine like click of the fingers, and you've taken like a week or 2 weeks worth of sort of money away from someone. That's really hard.
There's no benefits or relief for these guys, is there, when it's a snap lockdown? Isn't there? Has to be a certain amount of days before they start getting any.
There wasn't, and then New South Wales had a lockdown. So then the federal government brought something in. So then the Victorian people can get something this lockdown. But before that, there wasn't. So again, it's that sort of tit for tat. And I think it was a classic line this week from Dan Andrews. As much as his communication skills are sometimes awful, I think he said about Scott Morrison, he's not the Prime Minister of New South Wales. Yeah, so it was pretty hardcore. But I think we won't get too much into the politics. Go talk about that sort of stuff all night. And yeah, I would go to bed. I wouldn't be able to sleep. It'd be like I'd had a Diet Coke at 7:30 or something.
I think the thing with all this planning is, like what you said there, Kane, do as much as you can to support local businesses, play on with a pinch of salt with everything that's going on. But the other big thing is, I think, make plans, because otherwise, what the hell is life worth living for? Even if they have to get adjusted. One day I'll climb Mont Blanc. One day.
one day I'll leave the state of Victoria. Play on, adapt. I think that is a good point and a good bumper stick. You should trademark that, Ryan. I think that is a good place to end it this week on Daddy Eats Last. Remember to subscribe to Daddy Eats Last if you haven't done already, and while you're there, please leave a review. Also, tell your mates about the podcast, especially if they like to organise shit like these two gents. We're back next week, another episode. So until then, stay safe, stay well, and if you haven't been vaccinated, you can get your jab.
Bye bye. Bye bye.